I'm curious about the choice of going back to studying and going back to university. Um, what were you what was going through in your mind at that time? What were you thinking, and why did you choose that? I'm really curious about that.
Well, I mean, a couple of reasons. That's a great question. Not a lot of people have asked me that. For one, so earlier I had gotten an MBA from
Okay.
Fuqua School of Business at Duke University, and I'd taken some economics courses in undergrad. I'd taken a couple of economics courses as part of my MBA, and I just always sort of enjoyed that. It seemed like that was a topic that seemed to click pretty well for me. I sort of understood supply and demand and the graphs. Some people struggle with that for some reason. It kind of made sense to me. And then when I
Yeah.
started working with Paul Romer and started going to all these different conferences and just seeing the research papers and hearing, talking to professors every day, I just became interested with the topic. And I thought, well, why don't I just go back and get an economics degree? That's going to open up other fields for me. So again, it was this idea like, well, maybe I did the startup thing for a couple of years. Like I said, I was going to do. I moved from New York up to Silicon Valley, did that for a couple of years. So maybe that part of my life, I can check the box and move on to the next part of my life. And coming out of my degree, I thought, well, I ended up doing some consulting, but I thought, well, maybe I could get a job working for a financial firm like a Morgan Stanley, or, maybe even work on the trading desk, make tons of money selling securities and those kinds of things. But ultimately, I think what I found is that there weren't the opportunities there that I wanted to do. I interviewed with some venture capital companies as well, doing some VC work. But again, it just wasn't, the same kind of level of enthusiasm that I had when I start talking to somebody about their tech startup. And so for me, it was
Yeah.
just the draw. It almost like drew me back in. I thought I was going to break away from, again, doing sales and doing tech startups and maybe move into the financial market a bit. Maybe do venture capital because that's still related
Yeah.
to startups without doing the tech. But ultimately, I think I just enjoyed this idea of building something from almost nothing and being the engineer of that sales process. And I'd done it with Apple and was able to do it again with Altos. And so it's just something I guess I'm just pretty good at. So without
Yeah,
being,
that's a really good answer.